This is World Business Report from the BBC World Service. I'm Vishala Sripatma. Welcome to the programme. Reports of millions of dollars worth of Australian lobsters stranded in Shanghai after being refused entry made headlines down under as trade relations between Australia and China took a turn for the worse on Friday. It follows the Australian government's inquiry into the origins of the COVID-19 outbreak in the city of Wuhan. Since then, diplomatic and trade relations between the two nations have sunk to their lowest level for a generation. Andy Ji is an independent economist based in China. He explained that relations have been souring for several years now.
Since the US-China trade war started, Australia was quite vocal supporting the United States. I think that Beijing is thinking strategically that Australia is very dependent on China. If China couldn't get Australia to kind of come China's way, then it will be very hard elsewhere. I think that they're trying very hard to make Australia come around.
So would you say that China is punishing Australia?
I think, China has been looking at how the US has been using trade as a leverage for a long time. So they think that if the US could do it successfully, why shouldn't China be able to do so in a similar way? And I think that Australia has been towing the US line for a while since the trade war started. And you need to make countries to think about the price when they take sides. So I think that's what this is all about.
Australia have said to businesses that they should try and rely less on China. So they've said that today. They are saying perhaps you should think about other markets. Do you think the Chinese are worried about this?
No, I think there are no other markets for Australia. So Australia has to pay an economic price for its strategic or political stand. That's the choice that Australia needs to make. You cannot have it both ways. It's Australia's growth in the last 20 years is quite dependent on Chinese demand. There's no second to China, so it's not possible. I think that it's all right if you stand for your principle and you're willing to pay an economic price. But to say that there are alternatives, it is probably wrong.
And do you think that this will have repercussions on prices in China, for example? So lots of goods like lobsters, beef and wine, popular products are consumed by the Chinese. They are now going to be stopped from being imported into the country.
Yeah, this is, I think the Chinese government has a lot of power domestically. They can make people suck up the consequences. We have seen the high pork price, partly due to this trade war and less imports of feedstock. So I think the Chinese government is different from other governments. It has a lot of flexibility at home. And it has total control over the people. So I think that is why its calculation in terms of trade-off is different from what an open market economy, liberal market economy like Australia does. It's a different calculation.
So ultimately, Beijing doesn't really care about the impact on the consumer.
No, I think the Chinese people need always suck up. That's what they believe.
Andy Ji speaking to me earlier. Goodbye and thanks for listening to World Business Report.